You're not muted.
I just unmuted and then started
You know that,
coughing.
right? We've heard all the coughing.
When I unmuted, I started coughing. I wanted a drink of water and I drank it wrong. Hey, Claire.
Welcome
How you doing?
to the show, everyone.
How's it going?
It's going really well. It's going really well. How are you? Welcome to Club PK, everybody.
Welcome to
back.
Club PK.
The Secret Lives of Pastors' Kids.
Secret Lives of Pastors' Kids.
Got some juicy content tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I actually don't know if that's true.
No, it's gonna be good.
We'll see what happens.
Our guest tonight has a lot to say.
He is good. How you doing? How was your week?
Partial, but the holiday and everything. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Doesn't partial mean isn't that good?
Yeah.
Okay. I just couldn't tell by the way you said it.
Happy Thanksgiving is what I'm saying.
So your semester's over.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you made it.
We'll go back after Thanksgiving.
I feel like every university
January. It makes sense.
I
was talking to one of the teachers that I coach, just talking about that, and he was like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "You don't go back after Thanksgiving?" I don't understand. I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "That makes so much sense because we have international students and stuff like that. Like it's too expensive to go home, so then kids end up being stuck on campus for Thanksgiving and they miss the whole thing, and then they go home for Christmas, and which Christmas is always fine. But I was like, imagine if they were home for 6 weeks instead of 2. He'd be like, that'd be amazing.
Exactly, because you can get a job, you can get an internship with that kind of time.
6 weeks is enough time for an internship. That is true.
Yeah, or whatever.
Or we do a mini-mester at my university. So we do, summer classes are 6 weeks. So they actually do a summer class in the winter between semesters, and they count it as part of the spring course load. But you can knock out a class. Of course, you got to be working over the holiday. You got to be working on Christmas and all that kind of stuff. But, if you're motivated or maybe if you have a bunch of classes to finish, if it's like a senior year or something like that.
Right. Or if you failed something fall semester.
Make up for it in the interim and be back on track for the spring. So there's a lot of advantages to it. One disadvantage is that you really don't have a break once the semester starts. Like August, you're just,
in
100 miles an hour. So that's one disadvantage for sure. But it's nice to be able to rest this early in the year,
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining. Not complaining at all.
I want to know if last episode you told us that final schedule had changed and that messed up the play that you were supposed to do. And I challenged you not to fill that space with more stuff. What did you wind up doing?
Nothing.
Okay, good. How was that? Was it difficult to do nothing?
Let me think. It actually wasn't nothing. So there was other stuff I had scheduled. So it was going to be that in addition to the play. So I just did what I was normally. It wasn't nothing. I just didn't fill it, like you said.
Right.
So it wasn't nothing.
Which
but
that's fine.
Because Thursday, it was supposed to be last Thursday. We had 2 shows last Thursday, and then last Saturday night we had a show scheduled, and we pushed them all to January. So we're going to the end of January. We'll do those same shows. But last Thursday was a work day. I was at work, so I didn't even notice that I was. I didn't notice that I wasn't doing that because I was at work. It was a normal day,
Right.
The difference would have been leaving work to go do not leaving work, but leaving my office to go do the play. And being there till 9 p.m. instead of leaving at like 7, which is what I normally do. So, and then Saturday night, John and Julia are down here. My niece and nephew. So my nephew goes here, but our niece Julia came down. She goes to Andrews. She came down Friday, so they were in town. So Saturday night I was hanging out with them at mom and dad's house and stuff. So again, I didn't notice that so it was nice not having to leave there to, so it was, it was good advice.
That's good.
It's always difficult to not do more stuff.
Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, because there's always stuff to do. And I've said this on the show before, Nixon's like to work. Like we like to work.
Yeah, we're working.
And for a long time,
on both sides, Nixon's and Fields, on both sides.
Yeah. When I left my job, I left my last job and moved with no job. So I had no job for like 3 months.
Right.
And my other brother, John, had to keep saying to me stuff like, Like, it's okay for you to rest. Because I didn't really know what to do.
Right.
He was like, "Why do you have to do anything?"
Right.
I was like, "Shouldn't I be doing something?" Like, I felt like I should be doing something. He was like, "No, don't do anything." And, eventually it worked, but it took me a minute to, like,
Mm-hmm.
get used to the idea of just it's okay for me to rest. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's what I needed, and I knew it's what I needed, but it's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do. So,
It's
yeah.
difficult. Our guest
Anyway,
is a worker too.
yes.
So I wonder what his perspective is on this idea of doing too many things. We'll bring him
Mhm.
on. You want
And I
to
wonder if we get
introduce him?
that from our PK parents,
I wonder if it's a
actually.
PK thing because pastors work
Yeah,
like crazy,
constantly.
so
Yeah,
you have to.
yeah, and they don't
That's
rest either.
that's also true.
So,
They're not usually good at taking care of themselves. That's also true.
yeah, yeah.
So introduce our guest, Claire.
Our guest tonight is a lifelong PK who is originally from New Mexico. I just learned that just now.
I
He's
learned
the
that like
oldest
an hour ago.
sibling.
So yeah.
He's the oldest sibling in a family that moved around every 2 to 4 years when he was growing up. Now he makes his living as an educator and a student working on his PhD. He likes to spend time with his family, friends, and his kids for fun. And he thinks we should call you guys, our Club PK viewers, the PK Mafia. We should start a poll or something.
That's a good
So
idea. I like
we
PK
got
Mafia.
one for PK Mafia. So let's welcome Joshua Williams to the show tonight. Josh, welcome to the club.
Welcome
There
to the
you
club,
go.
Yeah.
Josh.
Come on in.
Yo. I'm excited. PK
How's it
Mafia. I
going?
think this is sick. I think this is gonna stick. I'm
If we
great,
call
Claire. How
our
are you?
followers PK Mafia, we're gonna have to make it. We need like outfits for that. That's just my opinion. We need some sort of
I
regalia
mean, there's the
or
audience, so who's listening. Whoever's listening becomes that mafia, right?
yeah, that's
They're
true.
out in the corner somewhere,
I
and
love
we work
merch, as you know, Claire. So a PK
Yeah, Paul
Mafia
has a
like
problem.
T-shirt or logo or hat or something, that'd be dope. I would rock that.
Yeah. In like the fatigue style or whatever.
hmm
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Mafia is
So
not
yeah,
army, but still, that's interesting.
whatever. 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 Josh, welcome to the club.
Thank you.
So we were talking before the show, and I've known Josh. Actually, we didn't really tally it. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's
It's
been a
been a
while,
while.
a couple
20.
decades
We'll say at
around there.
least 20. We'll say
Yeah,
at
let's
least
say at least
20.
20. And what about you, Paul?
25.
Yeah,
I don't
more than
know.
20.
It's been a
Probably
minute.
20, 25 sounds right. 25-ish,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
hmm
Somewhere in
It's been
there.
a minute.
Yeah, it's been a
Josh to
minute.
me is one of those people who has been the same since back then. He's the same right now that he
Yes,
was.
hold up. Before I say yes, is that a good thing? How do
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a
okay,
good thing.
okay.
I mean,
Yes,
obviously there's
yes.
been growth and maturity and stuff, but
Right,
I'm just
right.
saying the core of you,
Gotcha,
has
gotcha.
stayed the same.
Yeah.
I like
I'm
Well,
authenticity.
thank you, Claire.
right, and that's what I was gonna say, Claire. I think it comes off to me as genuine.
Yeah.
There is a realness to an interaction with you, Josh, because you know what you're gonna get. You know it's gonna be
Mhm.
honest. You know it's gonna be forthright. You know it's gonna be consistent. He's not gonna talk about you behind your back. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what you're getting with
Mhm.
Josh. So it's like that's a good thing to not. First of all, it's a good thing to have back then when we knew you when
Correct,
you were super
Right,
young,
right.
right?
correct.
But it's a good thing to hold on to for sure as lifes. You know what I mean? And you just continue to
And life is definitely lifing.
life is gonna life.
Definitely.
Can you guys hear my
Yeah.
son banging on the door?
I heard something. That was
Yeah,
him.
that's my son
I heard him
out there
yelling.
knocking on the door. This is what happens when you record a show on Thanksgiving. Everybody's like, "Hey man, where you at?"
But
Happy
also, that's
Thanksgiving,
what happens when
guys.
you
Happy
have
Happy
like
Thanksgiving.
That's funny. So another thing that came up before the show is Josh said that I throw curveballs,
hmm
and I wanted an explanation, but I said save your explanation for the show. So I want to know what that meant. What do you mean by that?
All right. So perfect. If you say that I shoot straight, right, and there's that consistency, you also shoot straight, but it's so straight that it kind of comes from a different angle. And you're just like, where did that come from? What kind of perspective? And it's been the same, Claire, for the past 20 years. So that hasn't changed. It's just like Paul and I will sit here and talk. There's this, there's that, and then you come with an angle that just like, huh, what? And you're caught on camera, and you're just like, oh.
Like, how am I
But
supposed to
I'll say
respond
this,
to that?
Claire. Go back and look at the past 3 podcasts. Go look at the past 3 podcasts, and I promise you, you'll find what I'm saying to be true.
So let me ask this, because this feels like, and I could be completely wrong, this feels like the male brain and the female brain.
Maybe.
Is it just that? But also I know that I'm weird. So like I take full responsibility.
But see, you're dealing with somebody who deals with languages. We have to quantify and qualify weird. Like
Right.
that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But I will go with the female brain and the male brain, like our orientations. I'm not a psychologist. I don't deal with that. But I do think that women and men just think fundamentally differently
For sure.
in comparison.
For sure.
That makes life exciting.
Yeah, that's an excellent way of saying that, Claire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not gonna be boring over here, and that's good.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Correct.
So we could do small talk all evening, but we run out of time every single episode.
Yeah, we do.
Just because I've said this a few times, on here, just because we PKs don't get an outlet like this, right? Where we get to talk about what life is like, and an hour is not enough for anyone. That's just not enough time for any human being. You could be 6 years old. It's not enough time. So with as much lived experience we have, we know we're going to run out of time. So let's just jump in. Let's get to it. You know what I mean?
I'm here for it.
Let's get to the meat. Tell us about how you were, because so what I'm gonna ask you about has multiple people involved, and I'm not asking about those relationships. I'm asking about how you were treated and how you were received and how people responded to you as a PK and who you are in the community, all that kind of stuff, right? So I want to hear about that period of your life when your first son was born, your first child. Tell us about that just a little bit.
So thank you for those parameters, right? By the time, I guess, once a PK, always a PK, right? I think that's a little mantra inside of our little groups. By the time I had Jaden, my oldest son, I wasn't necessarily under the guise of a PK. My parents were now both educators full time, but within the same realm. So it wasn't public school. It's still in that same little pericope, right? That same community. You're still dealing with it. And so you still kind of have that weight, that responsibility, that leverage, those eyes, as it were, that were watching. What was beautiful about the experience, I'll start with the good, then we'll go to the bad, right?
And let's just say, for those who don't know, you were not married at the time, right? So child out of wedlock.
Was not married. No, was not married. Yeah. This was outside of marriage, out of wedlock, as they say.
It is what it is. That's just
it is what it is.
That's what happened. Okay, so
you were living a normal human life,
right? Yeah,
you don't have to go through the processes, right?
It's not necessary. We all know how it happens, right? We all know.
Right.
It always starts with Luther too. But anyway, go ahead.
There it is. There it is. So it was twofold. The good side was that from the pew, the people who were not in leadership, right? The people who you go to church with on a regular basis, or just your neighbors in the community, as it were. Most of them were quite receptive. Most of them were just like, hey, thank you for being human. Not celebrating what happened, but just like, life happens, It was more so from the leadership standpoint where I'm beginning to get the pressure. You know who your father is, you know who your mother is, that standpoint. And I think that's normal, unfortunately, unhealthy, but normal for a lot of PKs, like pastors, kids, because there's a standard. There's this, you're supposed to be here. And everybody's supposed to rise to these standards. And so if you don't, then you've kind of fallen literally from grace or out of grace, as it were, and having to work those angles, work those different levels. So then it can cause those, like myself speaking, it did cause me to start reevaluating and rethinking. Because on one side, it's like, This is a gift from God. How it happened outside of the confines, my son is still a gift from God. But you're kind of pressure. I was kind of pressured to believe that the son was now somehow an aberration or
Mm,
an anomaly or
mm,
something that wasn't necessarily within the framework of the ideals or even
Mhm.
ideologies, whether they were spoken or unspoken. And there was this grapple within myself, internal grapple, because of that pressure, that those nuances, as it were, what to do. Like abortion was never an option. That wasn't,
right,
his mother and I never even considered that. That
right,
was never going to happen.
right.
But how to sit with and how to posture that idea with that leadership was very, very challenging. But again, on the opposite side, you have a very, very small, let's say 5% of the community was thinking, oh man, this is not good. You got to be rebaptized. And you're thinking about the image, right? You're
Mm,
thinking of the images, to save face and how this and how that. You have so many notable people in your family who do this and who did this. And here you come. It's that pressure because of prestige, I guess. But then having the other 95%, and I can really say in my case, it was 95% cocooning us, saying, look, dude, let's go down a list. There's this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, people I didn't even know about who had similar situations. It's just like, look, we still love you. You can still get through this. It's going to be challenging. I remember at the institution that I worked at, where Claire, we worked together for a little bit, and Paul, we worked together for a long bit. I had to step down from that position for like a year, and that was challenging, extremely challenging, as it were. You buy a house, you have a car, you have a kid, you're doing all the things that you need to take care of and create a family, and do the things that we know are right by a child. And this was a time where I needed that support, and it was taken away for the sake of the platform, or for the sake of the image, or for the sake of, even if you say, you know what, I made a mistake. I did this. It was not, it didn't seem like it was enough. But that's because, again, some of the things that we have are not necessarily relationship oriented.
mm,
They're based off of performative metrics
mm.
and perfectionism. And so when you have performativism and you have perfectionism, it doesn't matter if you're human. It's just like, not today. And you have to deal with that. Yeah. Did I answer your question, Paul?
That was yeah. We're going somewhere.
I can see
This
that.
isn't a curveball, but I have a
I
question.
think it is a curveball, but let's go for it. I was waiting. You saw I was waiting, Josh. You saw me
I
waiting,
saw
right? I
it.
was
I saw it. I saw it.
Here's the part of that. Thank you for sharing all that, first of all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that most of the response was a supportive, positive response.
can I be honest for a second? I'm surprised it was that
Oh yeah.
disparate of a difference. 95
Well,
to 5%. I'm surprised it
well,
was
hold on.
that big
Well,
of a
hold on.
difference. I'm
Because
not I'm not
because
surprised
part
it
of
was
my
more supportive than non-supportive, but I'm surprised it was that big of
yeah
a difference in our
Yeah.
community. I really am. And I'm glad. I'm so glad that you were able to have a mostly positive experience because like you said, a child is a gift. I mean, we have no control over how we get here. You know what I mean?
To a degree. To a degree. To a degree.
Once you're here, you're here, and it's like
Correct.
we got responsibilities, we're a family, we all that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm so glad that your experience was mostly positive like that. Anyway, go ahead, Claire, with your curveball.
the part of what you talked about just now that stood out to me is the inner conflict that you were experiencing.
Mm,
And it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like your head was fighting with your heart, basically, because your heart is saying, this is a gift from God. Your head is probably repeating all the messages that have been repeated to you about the way it happened.
Correct.
And so it seemed like those things were in conflict. So my question is, during that time, and that's a really difficult, I wish that people would talk about that conflict more,
mm-hmm.
about
Right.
when your actual real life fights with your brain and you realize that sometimes there are thoughts that you have that you didn't realize you were even having until your life clashes with your thinking.
Mm.
And that
Right.
can be a really difficult thing to grapple with. And so I'm wondering if, when that was happening, if your conversations with the Lord became more honest and more urgent and more transparent and just more, or what happened during that time with your relationship with Christ.
So that was the beginning of a huge transformation, right? And the transformation was looking at life from a lens of relationship, not rules and regulations.
Mm.
It was the beginning. I mean, there's several layers to that. But it was from that point that it was like, look, if the rules and the regulations say that I have to abandon what I know is right, taking care of my son is right.
Mm-hmm.
But the rules are
Objectively,
just
like
like,
objectively right.
right. If there's some type of tension there, then I'm going to go with the relationship with my son over the perspective of the people who were creating this space. So there was a lot of times got on my knees, prayed, understanding that the consequences of said decisions were going to be there. But part of me was thinking some of this was even unnecessary. Like being unemployed when you're about to have a child,
Right.
like
And when you
that
say it
part,
like that, to be honest with you, it really just sounds
It
cruel.
sounds cruel.
And
because
it's
it is
scary.
cruel.
Yeah, it's scary to me how easy it is
To be
to
cruel.
no, to wrap the Bible around
Oh,
cruelty
yeah.
so that you don't even realize you're being cruel. That's the scary
Yeah.
part to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the people thought they were being cruel to you. I think they probably thought they were doing the right thing.
They were upholding
The
Exactly.
standard.
upholding the standard, whatever
Which
And
that standard was.
it's the wrong standard. Watch
and
my
that's the
Right.
scary thing to me
watch my chapel talk.
that's the scary thing to me when cruelty is wrapped in biblical things. It literally frightens me. Like it does, because I'm like, you're weaponizing.
Correct.
You're like and I love the way you said relationship versus rules and regulations, because that's what it is. It's relationship versus rules and regulations. And for me, if I'm walking with Christ, which is a relationship, I'm going to prioritize the relationship, because I
Correct.
can't even interpret the rules correctly if I'm not interpreting it through the relationship
Right.
in the
The
first place.
relationship has to be, in my opinion, per my experience, the relationship with God has to be at the center. It's from that relationship. And Paul did. He was making shout of a chapel that he did, but he was talking about how the Ten Commandments don't make sense without the relationship with God, right? And
Mhm.
without that relationship, then you can't have a relationship with human beings. So instead of I can't do this, it's more like I won't do this because of the relationship. I
Right.
won't treat you crazy because the relationship dictates that I should not treat you crazy. I'm
Mhm.
not going to treat God crazy, so I'm not going to treat you crazy. That's like a very condensed form. But most times within our circles, right, within our church that we grew up in, we were showed the opposite, the inverse. It was let me learn the rules to get to the relationship
Right.
versus let me understand the
Mhm.
relationship and then I can understand the rules.
Right.
Mhm.
It's that dichotomy, and I got caught up in it. Like I really got caught. To your question, there were man on your knees praying, crying, boohooing, trying to figure out where mortgage is coming from, where car note is coming from, how you're going to take care of the kids. Literally using the expression robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, like I'm going to take from here, but I'm going to give here. Like it was that rat race. And yes, because of the consequences. These were, or because of decisions, these are some of the consequences that I had to experience. But some of them I'm thinking retrospectively, what would have happened if I did not lose my employment, but there was some other way to figure out you have a need, let's meet that need, and let's figure out how to help you from making similar mistakes down the road. You know, it's
In other
the reason
words,
people
was
say
there
this.
another way to love you, is what you're saying.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
What
And
if
what does
there? Well,
love actually look like in real time?
I just thought this is a
Correct.
crazy idea. We were talking about a similar crazy idea earlier. Josh and I had a lengthy conversation earlier. Our offices are right next to each other, so we have a number of long conversations
Wonderful conversations,
during the
right?
workday. But but yeah, so I just thought of this. What if? So what if it was something like this? What if you're not allowed to work for this year, but we'll put your job, like we'll hold your job for you so you can come back in a year, and then during the year that you're not employed here, we'll give you a stipend that's equivalent to your salary, but it's not a salary or something like that, so that you can continue to meet your obligation. We understand for the image you can't be a representative for this period of time. That's fine, but we're gonna make sure we take care of you as a person at the same time with employment and also finances or something, some kind of mechanism to be to be an institution of love. You know what I'm saying? Like we're talking about. I'm not going to say the motto of the institution, but we know what the motto is.
Girl.
We know what the motto of the institution is, and it's like you know, God acts certain
but
ways. God behaves in certain ways. He just does, and he
I
doesn't
do. I
behave
think
in some
that I
other
think it's that
ways.
part, Paul. I really think it's that part. It's how do we figure out we're going to cover you
Yeah,
because you need
right.
that coverage. How do we cover you?
This is
Like
the
we
time
may
you
not
need the
have.
most.
Right. This is the time where you need to be shown that you matter, that your child matters. Because right now, when you're pushing someone out, you're just like, we don't want to have anything to do with you. And your
right.
child, who's an infant, is not that important. So
Hmm.
it's a really, really tough pill to swallow, and it creates a lot of disdain,
Yeah,
and a lot of us just leave and just like, you know what, throw the deuces. I could care less because of how we treat, right? Or
Hmm.
how we're treated,
right.
how we treat people, or than how we're treated by people. Yeah.
Did you
Hmm.
did you did you stray at all? Did you leave and come back, or did you just not? Did you just never? Because you're back now, but did you never leave, or did you? Well, how'd that work out in terms of staying
I
connected?
didn't necessarily, so I think leaving is very, there's caveats there, right? I could not sit in the same spaces with these individuals holistically. But remember, 95% of the people around embraced and said, look, you're not going to. So at the main church, right, on campus, I couldn't go there regularly. I just
Hmm.
like, you know what? I can't go there. So I went to where the people wanted me to be, where people said, look, which is beautiful. You're no different than we are. So we talked about being a
Hmm.
PK at the beginning. There's that pedestal that we're put
Right,
on,
right.
that platform, which I think is created for us to fall because it's not for children to
You,
have to deal with.
you can't stay up
Right.
there.
Right.
It's not possible. You can't stay
Right.
up there.
You can't. So as a kid, you just want to run, you want to play, you want to do what kids do. This kicks that off completely. Like you not even are taken down gently by the hand. You're just like kicked off of the off of the top of the, remember King of the Mountain, the game, you
Yeah, yeah.
just through the top. You were definitely thrown down from the top by this hand, this invisible hand. And it's just, it's like cartoonish almost. But yeah, I do think that covering piece is so necessary because we're not here to shame people,
Right.
right? We're more so, and as PKs, I think one of the things that we have experienced, I've experienced as a PK, is that shame. Like, if I don't operate within the box that you have prescribed for me, then I'm a failure, or I'm this, or I'm that. I can't amount to whatever your ideals of who I should be. But going back to that 95%, they're just like, you're one of us. There's no pedestal, there's no standard. You're human. We're going to embrace you. And I began to look at friendships and relationships a lot differently. But then, more importantly, I was definitely in that desperate situation where calling out to God became a real thing. Like it was real
Right.
before, but
Yeah.
now it's like that real desperation. Like, okay, God, I know I made a mistake, but all this,
Right.
like,
Right.
all this, really?
And I guess that's the silver lining of it all is that experience and the 5% really, and they didn't mean to do this way, but they kicked your relationship with God into a higher gear because of the way that they mistreated you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And it shouldn't have had to happen that way, but in our community it often happens that way, and it doesn't always, just like you said before, sometimes people will leave the community and also leave God
Yeah.
because the
Because of how
community
the
and
church
God,
treats them. Yeah.
they think they're the same thing, and they're actually
Right.
not.
Right.
They're two
and they're not
different. They're supposed
right.
to be united, but they're not. um but in your case, it you had to go through a lot. But the Lord didn't leave you, like, period.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't leave you, and I don't know the particulars of how you got through that period, but the Lord was all in that. Because
Absolutely.
why would he abandon you? I can understand why the people might, because they're small-minded,
That's not
but
what
the
he
Lord's
does.
not
I
gonna
mean,
abandon you.
we talked about this with Mila, man, a couple episodes ago, and this is something that's gonna stay with me for a while because I've never really thought about it this way. But she was like, when she was going through her struggles, God's response to her was, "Come closer, just come here, just come. Not try harder, not
Right.
not even
Not
stop making
performance.
mistakes,
Right. Not
not be
performance.
not put right, not be perfect. Just come, just come, just come." And
Mhm.
the natural response to her being obedient to that call was the ending of her problem. Like the problem went away like naturally because she was just in the presence of Christ. And it's like, yo, that's how he acts. It's like, come here. It's and again, sometimes we do the opposite. Sometimes somebody makes a mistake, or what we perceive as a mistake, or somebody doesn't perform correctly, and our responses get away. And like, that's not what God does. That is not what God does.
No, he doesn't.
Mhm.
That's how I got through to that question. That's how I got through. The beautiful thing about my parents is that, and I don't know about everybody else as a PK, but my parents were very intentional in making sure that my siblings and I formed our own relationship with God, which was
Nice.
not contingent on what other people thought or what other people did. Granted, they're human just like we are, right? So there were mistakes and flaws along the way. But one of the greatest blessings for me was this is who God is. Take some time. It's a skill, it's a
Right.
communication. It's
Right.
you can talk to God about anything and everything. And during that time period,
Mhm.
man, those prayers, they were very, all of the fluff and the pomp and all that, man, out the window. Just
Yeah, we have
gone.
time
We got
or
time for
energy
that.
for that.
Gone.
Let's get
Gone.
to the
Time
meat immediately.
Just get to it. Lord, I need some help today.
And
Lord,
the
I
Lord's
need
not
this.
impressed with it anyway.
He's
So,
not. He's
please.
not. So it
And
was that. It became real.
when people do that to us in conversation, we roll our eyes at it. So why
That's
are we
true.
doing that to the Lord?
Correct.
It makes no
Correct. I
sense.
began to see in that time period how important real, honest communication with God was.
Wow.
Like, I could talk to Him like you, the three of us are having this conversation. I could begin to talk to God that way. That then began to change how I started looking at the Bible. But
Mm.
again, to that point, I began to realize how I was beginning to believe some of the stuff, or how some of the stuff that we were raised in was ingrained in me, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
It's that, man,
You
I'm
uncover your own
legalistic.
beliefs and don't even realize it.
I didn't
Wow.
realize it. It was just
Wow.
like, all right, let me break away. This is a good time to segue out. I mean, I've been put out anyway, so it's a good
Right.
time for me to accept the space that I'm in and then go from there. A year later, they did restore me to the position, as it were, but it hit different. There was no apology, there was no nothing. It was, for me at that point, very practical. Like, I'm here to do a job. Let me get the job done to the best of my ability. But there's so many now other questions, and then sharing that with students. Relationship, this is how you
Mm.
read the Bible. Don't look at the Bible as a chore. Look at it as a conversation. And don't try to read the whole thing in one sitting. It's
Right.
crazy. Just take a verse, take five verses, take
Right.
10 verses,
Yeah.
Small
and
pieces.
just
Yep.
keep it simple. And just like, yo, what does this mean? How does this look? Beginning to use those skills. And those are things, again, learned in childhood. That crystallized for me That helped to crystallize the relationship with God. From there, yeah, mistakes were made, but it was different. It was God saying, I don't want you to make mistakes, but if you do, I'm here not to kick you away, but I'm here to bring you closer. I'm here to help you so that you don't make the same mistake twice. You've learned from it so that you can move on. Yeah.
Wow. You brought up
That's
your
good, Doc.
parents, and we'll talk about your parents. I want to ask a couple questions about that and some
Yeah.
upbringing stuff and being the oldest, some of those things. But we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and this is a good one, y'all.
I haven't seen it yet.
This is a good one. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and just your mics were live during the commercial, so don't be if it's funny, go ahead and
Mute us.
do it. It's perfectly fine. I like the laughing during the commercial. It's funny.
But what if the laughter is over the commercial?
Okay, I guess.
Like people can't hear it.
I suppose. Anyway, commercial. We'll be right back with more from Josh Williams. Amen, church. Today's episode of Club PK is brought to you by spiritual bandages.
Yes.
The only adhesive healing strip specifically designed to heal your unseen hurt.
Jesus.
You no longer have to suffer in silence. No longer do you have to weep alone. No longer do you have to fight by yourself, because
The battle
is not against flesh and blood.
Flesh and blood, God. Flesh and blood.
But it's against principalities.
Principalities.
And I said powers.
My God, the powers. The powers.
Rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness. Because you see, spiritual bandages cover up that spiritual pain. They cover up and heal what ails you that nobody else can see. That's why you can see through me today. That's the power of the spiritual bandages.
Come on. How do I get it?
Just apply the code spiritual power. That's SPIRITUALPOWAH at checkout to receive your healing. Now repeat it so I know that you got it.
Just apply the code spiritual power. That's SPIRITUALPOWAH at checkout to receive your healing.
Spiritual bandages. Stop suffering in silence. Amen.
Yeah, man.
Grateful to our sponsors as always. Always just really.
Let me say something. I just say two things, and then we can get back to Josh. Let me say three things. We did that in one take.
That's true.
And when I wrote that, I could hear Paul reading it. And when he read it I'm talking about exactly. I gave dude no notes. He read it exactly the way that I wanted him to read it the first time.
I hadn't read it. I just read it. That was my first time reading it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I didn't
And
like
recording at
practice.
the same time. Reading
Say it
and
again.
recording at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow! Wow!
I I I that was so dumb.
I keep telling you guys, whenever a commercial is really dumb, that's Claire. Okay, so Claire has the dumber commercials. Claire wrote that entire script. She
And
wrote
when
all
I
of it.
was
I was doing
writing,
something
I was
else.
dying laughing because
I
I
was
could
doing something
hear
else,
Paul.
and
I
she.
could hear him, and you did it perfectly. So I just want to shout out Paul Nixon and his acting skills. It was
Thank
superb.
you.
It was exactly what I
Cool,
I
wanted
cool.
to
appreciate it.
have him.
Well,
And
you know,
also
it's
his
the.
editing skills, because that bell at the beginning and that bell at the end was great. It was all great. Woo! That's funny. All right.
So
Also, the product made no sense. Did anybody realize
that's
that?
also true. The product is
Product made
nonsense.
no sense at all.
A bandage for your unseen hurt. What does that mean? What are you talking
You know
about?
what? It would be sad if somebody actually took that for real, like for real, for real. That
That
would be pretty
happens
crazy.
every commercial.
So
Somebody will be like, "Oh, let me
yeah.
Google that real quick." I'm like,
People
"That's not."
comment. People comment and be like, "Oh, I was looking for it," and then I realized it was a joke. Like I went and Googled Moses' burning bush barbecue wood chips. You know, it's like, what are you talking about?
Oh man.
It's
Okay.
funny.
Woo. Back to Josh. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So you're the oldest.
Correct.
Was there any kind of pressure, internal, external, self-imposed, any kind of pressure at all to kind of follow in your dad's footsteps and go into ministry when you were young, growing up?
I think internally, yes. You know, your dad's your model, your role
That's true.
model. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like, man, I want to make mom and dad proud, and I think that's a trait of the oldest. Because we're used to taking care of people, we're taking care of our siblings. So our framework and our thinking is a lot more performative in nature
Mm-hmm.
as you think about it. So you can think of your oldest sibling and how he relates, you know, to the three of you, right? So, you know, there is part of that. But to my parents, dad was just like, I don't want you to do that. Not, I don't want you, but pick something that you're interested in. Pick
Right.
something that you like. Pick something that you feel like is in alignment with what God is telling you to do or calling you to do. And if it ends up being that, so be it. But that was more so,
Mhm.
that's not the path that I am going to impose on you. And mom was definitely like, kid, you could do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's not limit yourself.
That's
But
nice.
I do think very more I was very rigid and narrow because of that to a certain degree. But as I began to study and as I began to enjoy school, I was just like, you know what? I don't have to go down this path. I can figure out a different way. I can do this, I can do that. And I started doing some things. I think for me, it was more of a hodgepodge. I can
Mm-hmm.
do everything. So let me do
Right.
everything. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother conversation. Whole
Yeah.
nother conversation.
Out of that everything that you could do, what's the weirdest thing you think you've ever weirdest project or job
Hobby,
or
maybe.
whatever out of that hodgepodge hobby? Yeah.
Hmm.
What's something that
Weirdest.
we wouldn't expect you've done or you're interested in or you've had your hand in before?
Something that you would not. So I ended up working in Colorado at a camp, and I took up mountain biking. I picked up rappelling, spelunking, all those,
What's repelling?
like when you have your ropes and you are jumping off the face of a mountain, just going down. Yeah.
Like Ace
Why
Ventura
would you
too.
do that? Why
Why
would you
not?
do
Why
that?
wouldn't you do it? Like, why wouldn't you do
Why
it?
not? And when
Why
you're
not?
spelunking, you're jumping into a black void, aren't you?
That's
No, no,
caving.
no.
Isn't that cave
Spelunking is just
diving?
That's like
caving.
cave
Yeah,
exploration.
that's just caving. So
Mm-hmm.
going through
Oh, I see.
caves and
Okay.
crevices and stuff like that. But the repelling was more so just interesting. Like, you have that Commando, GI Joe. You can do that, or I could do that, and then whitewater rafting, stuff like that. The extreme sports. I
Yep.
remember we were riding we were riding down the mountain. That was the thing. We were literally at the top of a mountain, and we would ride down. And so if you're on a bicycle coming down the mountain, your bike is going 55, 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
Like there were some near misses. There were definitely some near misses. Because back then, 15, 20 years ago, you didn't have the guardrails that you have now. So it's just you, the
People
road, and
didn't
the
care
drive.
about y'all. They didn't care. That's crazy.
I live life to the edge,
Yeah.
quite literally,
Yeah,
quite
we see
literally.
that.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So,
Um,
go ahead.
so you went into education.
I did.
Do you feel like education tell us what you teach actually first.
So I teach Spanish, all levels, conversational, literature, the whole nine, linguistics. That's what I teach. I teach
Had
Spanish.
you always been interested in languages or like how did that
Always.
happen? Okay.
So growing up in New Orleans, that was one of the few places that we lived, but that was the last place that dad pastored. So we spent a long time there. A lot of community, a lot of good people, a lot of memories. That in and of itself is just worlds, micro worlds come together. So it was
Mm,
no different. It was not no, it wasn't any different, but it was not uncommon, right? To go to the grocery market. Then there was a place called Schwegmann's. It's no longer in existence. They closed while we were there. And you'd hear somebody speaking Arabic, and then that would go to Cajun French, and then that would go to Spanish, and then I would go to French, and all these languages coming together in one spot was just like wow. And I love seeing the code switch, people switching between languages. I love
yeah.
seeing the nuances. I love just hearing people greet. They wouldn't even have a full conversation, but saying something in French or saying something in Spanish. That was like the norm. And so from there, I began to grow. There were some brothers who kind of adopted me like a godson, as it were. They were mechanics, and I started working on cars, learning from them. They would only speak Spanish because they were working on their V8, small block V8 engine. So I had to learn how to get different tools in Spanish, and it took a long time because they would sit there and laugh, knowing I had absolutely no clue what they were saying. But over time, the repetition, it was real life training, and that was really cool. Being able to switch between languages, communicate the same thing, and then I realized languages open up doors.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, yeah.
So that's interesting. You're talking about learning languages, and I'm wondering. You kind of answered it. I'm wondering how much of it was just kind of a natural aptitude, or how much of it was just working hard in terms of your ability to, gain fluency in another language.
I think it was both. I
Okay.
think there was that inclination, natural aptitude, but then there was also that curiosity. So, in one of the churches that my dad pastored, you had the African Black church, right? Like the African and Black church, not African American, but African Black church.
Right.
Then you had across the street the Caribbean, West Indian. Like I really grew up thinking that Malby and Sorrow and Roti were the normal staples in Black homes because we had it all the time, right? It wasn't until I came to college to realize, oh, there's a difference. Like there's a separation, there's a parameter because when those churches merged, potlucks, as you can imagine, you had a smorgasbord from all these different, you had Jamaican cuisine and St. Lucian cuisine and Trinidadian cuisine and Honduran cuisine. And like we had the whole Caribbean flair.
Mhm.
That
Sounds like
helped me
heaven.
want, yes, a little bit. It was a microcosm. It made you want to understand how people use languages to communicate. And I
Mm.
started seeing how when they would break off in their different versions of patois, because Jamaican patois is different from Trinidadian patois. Like you start seeing the nuances. You begin to see how people begin to view life through a different lens. And sometimes we're saying the same thing, but we're just saying it in a different language. And so it's
Right.
like, wow, this is amazing. Like
Mm.
how we look at religion, how we look at education, how we look at food, how we look at the pragmatics of treating each other. Like what's acceptable over here may not necessarily be acceptable over there. And just being fascinated with that. And New Orleans is just, at that time, pre Katrina, was rich with
Mhm.
all of that. Like
Mhm.
it was nothing to go to different spaces and people would genuinely open up their spaces to help you and to it didn't matter what the languages were. Kindness was kindness, a
Mm-hmm.
gesture was a gesture. And being able to see someone, if you say something in Arabic and their worlds kind of light up, like, wow, you're speaking my language, or you're greeting me in my language, or hearing somebody speak French and you be able to say, something back and like, oh, this is the gist of what I have. But just that excitement that they get that you tried,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that was incredible. There was
And
one girl who I was really interested in, whose aunt would never allow me to come into the house until I spoke Spanish. So I was just like,
Oh, so that's
no,
why.
there's
yeah,
a reason
that's
to learn the language
Yeah,
right
we get to
there.
the real answer to the question.
right. I failed. I never made it into the house.
You never
Just
made it in.
never made it in. Never made
Oh,
it in. But
wow.
it was a good attempt.
That
That's funny.
I noticed something. I noticed that same thing you're talking about. The appreciation of the native speaker that you're trying. I noticed that when I was in Korea. I picked up a handful of phrases. Handful of
Right.
phrases. I actually made no effort to learn the language when I was over there, but I pick up a handful of phrases just to get around stuff like that. And I'm obviously not Korean, right? I'm walking around
Right.
Korea.
Right.
I'm one of the tallest people around. First of all, secondly,
That says
clearly
a
a black
lot.
guy.
That says a lot.
Yeah, clearly a black guy. Got my sideways Yankees cap on. I'm a foreigner, and then I ask for my food in Korean. It's always like, oh, so yeah. Um,
If
I
we
didn't
had
I didn't have the.
podcasts like that then and the social medias that we have now, it would have gone viral. Somebody would have
That's true.
recorded that
Yeah.
and it was,
That's
yeah,
true.
because it's not normal for us to see anyone speaking a different language from the United States. Like
Right.
Mhm.
it's a very limited pocket.
Mhm.
So was there anything? And we're looking at the clock, man. We're just running out of time. We have like 9 questions. We've asked 2 of them. I told you to run out of time. But was there anything that you particularly liked growing up about being a PK in particular? Anything about being besides just being a member of your family? Just was there anything about being a PK that was you know
I
advantageous
honestly like
in?
to travel. I
Okay.
like the travel aspect. Um, Not the relocation aspect, but as a PK, your dad has all these meetings and conferences, and if you're
Yeah.
not where the conference office is, that means you have to come in, and you're coming from places. I love that. Like you get to see other PKs. Like this was a time for PKs to get together without having to deal with other people, and
Right.
so there was this bonding. There was this. I know you. You know me. A lot of those PKs from my conference at that time, we are still like if we see each other, like we're cool. Like I don't think many of us still stay in contact like we used to, but if we were to get around each other, there's not this sidearm or distance. It's just like, yo, what's up?
Right.
Long time no see. And we just laugh because there is this familiarity that comes with the experiences that we had in our childhood due to a lot of the travel.
Hmm.
And then that's
Mhm.
on like let's say the regional areas. And then it extends like you have general conferences and then other events like the travel aspect definitely was a perk. Definitely.
Mm.
But what about the other
Mm.
side? Anything that was particularly distasteful?
The standard. The
Mm.
standard. Um, that was always distasteful. I remember there was a woman. I don't remember if it was Sabbath or if we were just at church. Because Dad was in his office, and he was usually not in his office on Sabbath because it was meeting and greeting and so forth.
Right.
So it may have been in between. I don't know. Maybe it was a long day at church, but we were at church. All of us as kids are doing what kids do. We run around, we're ripping and running, we're sweaty, we're just little banshees doing whatever, like doing what kids do. This woman singled me out of the group, dragged me, literally, quite dragged me. You remember back then, respect hit differently, right? You
You
were
can put your
not
hands on
going,
somebody else's kids.
right, right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
weren't going to fight back. You
Right.
weren't going to be mouthy. It was different. Um, she dragged me to my dad and was like, look, he's ripping and running and acting whatever, she said. I'm making that part of like acting a fool, whatever, because that's what they would do back then. And I remember Dad put whatever he was doing down. One, because this woman was dragging me into the room. That caused him to kind of like, hold up, wait a minute, what's going on? And he essentially was just like, so where are the other kids? And
Right.
from that point on, he set the precedent like you don't treat him any differently than you would treat any other kids. So
Mhm.
either all of them are going to get in trouble together, or none of them are going to get in trouble because they're just being kids. And he didn't allow us to be put on a pedestal. Mom was very intentional about making sure that we were just kids. Um, she did have to create things for us to do, and I think that was healthy. Like I have bags when my kids were growing up. I had Sabbath bags and stuff for them, so they could create and draw and color and snack and all of that. But it wasn't, we're going to help you be different, right? It was, no,
Mhm.
we're going to allow you much as possible to be that kid. But I hated that standard because even though
Mhm.
they set the precedent in that place, they couldn't go around telling everybody he's just a regular kid. They're just regular kids. Just let them be. It was battles that we had to fight um, constantly in the schoolroom, in other places, camp meetings, wherever there was a group or a gathering, there was this expectation that we would have to hold the line and stand up straight and not make mistakes and be that poster child. And I think that helped me be the renegade that I am today.
That's some good training.
I think there's a
Yes,
natural
yes,
next question
yes.
here, Claire.
Hmm?
I think there's a natural next question here.
Well, I mean, so during that time in your life when
Yeah.
you really felt that standard in a tangible way, as you just said, somebody literally dragging you, what did rebellion look like for you? How did you push back against that, or did you push back against that?
In that space, I didn't have to. It was Dad had my back. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
it's like Dad had this. But beyond that, there were times where you wanted to prove that I wanted, not you personalized. I wanted to prove that I was no different than anybody else. Um, it's not that I wanted to dance harder or I wanted to do any of the other stuff that people would do. It's just I wanted to be my own person and know for who I was. So
Mhm.
it definitely was fuel and motivation to be different um, because when that place is so consuming, like we had Pathfinders, they want you to be the best Pathfinder just because you're the PK, and you're just like, that's impossible. Like, I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to tie the knights perfectly. Like, I'm not going to
Right.
do those different things. I'm going to mess up. So there was a lot of pushback, beat to my own drum kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
there was definitely that though. But the good thing, again, going back to parenting, even though we were PKs, we had a very, very good world concept. So we were in extracurricular activities, and I say extracurricular in the sense that my parents were intentional that we did things in the community. So it wasn't just Adventist, 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 Adventist,
Right.
Adventist.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Man, we did music with the city. We did choral stuff. We did musical stuff. And again, New Orleans, you have music on every corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did a lot of, we did sports, organized sports. We did swimming. We did basketball. We did a whole bunch of stuff that did not normally and naturally then associate or be associated with Adventism. Like I love that they have leagues now. Like in almost every school has an athletic program.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I
Right.
wish that we had
Unheard
stuff
of.
like that as an outlet. Oh man, that'd have been great. I think that would have helped with a lot of the foolishness that we were dealing with because, we had something to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm glad those things are at least starting to change.
Yeah.
The organized sports and stuff.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm looking at a clock. We gotta get out of here.
Last question.
Got more questions. We gotta get out of here. What's the last question?
The trivia question.
Trivia. Yes. Random
Ooh.
trivia.
Ooh.
Random.
Why does it now it doesn't feel random? It seems like this was thrown out there to intentionally create a space of randomness. What's up?
It's random to you. It's not random
Right.
to us. We've planned this. It's in our notes. Although I didn't look up the question until we were already on the show.
Anyway.
Okay. Here we go. Today's Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I have a Thanksgiving question for you.
Okay.
What is the average number of guests at an American Thanksgiving dinner?
Ooh.
What is the average number of guests at an American Thanksgiving dinner? There's no way.
Average number 15.
And that's a good guess.
That's a
I was
good
going to
guess.
say, and then we'll tell you how our mom blows this number out of the water every single year.
Out of the water. 15 is a good guess. Unfortunately, that is incorrect.
It's the wrong guess, but it's a good guess.
That is a good guess, though. It's not
What
it's not
is it?
far
What's
off.
the average?
The answer is 11.
Okay. Not
11.
too far off.
Yeah, 15 is not far off. There's no way that you would have possibly known that. I did press my button, but my sound effects aren't working. So
okay, do it with your mouth.
That's not at all what I wanted to do.
Just happened last time too.
I don't know why it's doing that.
So my mother's average, I think, for Thanksgiving, particularly the last, I think, 2 or 3 years, because Thanksgiving is Mom's Super Bowl at this point. I'm gonna say it's 30.
It's got to be 30. It's got to be.
And
we're gonna be over.
I'm talking about average. We beat 30 this year, but I'm just saying the average.
We'll be closer to 40 this year.
She's three times over the average.
Yeah, and she just keeps inviting more people. And I'm just like, hey, they have a nice house, but it's not that big.
It's not that big. That's the thing. It's not a 9-bedroom house.
No, it's not.
Hold on. To that point, I know that was the last point, but I think that was something cool about being a PK too. We always had people over at the house.
I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think that idea of it doesn't have to be so big. It's just a community. It's just us coming together. And nobody back then, I'm sure now it's different because post-COVID, everybody's cootified, but before then, you could have 100 people at the house and it was just like, cool. You sit down, you party, do whatever. Yeah. So that's cool, man. Next year, can I get an invitation? Like next year, please?
It's up to Mom.
I remember one Sabbath dinner.
Maybe. Why not? I mean, why not?
I remember one Sabbath dinner, there were so many people at the house that in the middle of people serving themselves, Mom panicked and started cooking more food.
Oh, wow.
And my mom already makes too much food.
But
there were so many people. She went back in the kitchen and started cooking more.
Wow.
I'm just like, all right.
When we're planning, because I do a good amount of cooking here, when we do family stuff, and Mom and I are always kind of planning because Dad doesn't cook and neither does time. Her husband doesn't cook and my wife doesn't cook, so Mom and I are the ones that bear that burden. But whenever we're planning and we're like walking through the store buying stuff, whatever, she's always like, I can always throw on a pot of rice. So it's like, so she's even like, even in her head.
Mom thinks the same thing. I will always put on. I was like, and what is the rice like? What is the rice supposed to do?
But just in case we run out, I'll just make 4 cups of rice real quick. It's like, yo, that's how you really think. That's how they really.
And
think.
people love it. Like, this is the best rice ever. Like,
right.
That rice be banging too. That's true.
Yeah,
rice be slamming.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Josh.
Thanks, Josh, for your time. We appreciate it on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah. Thanks for
We'll
your transparency
let
and
you get back to
your
your turkey. Yeah, thanks for sharing your story.
Cool.
yeah.
We got everybody. We're like, we gotta have you back on because there's so much more stuff to talk about, and I'm really interested. Like some of the things we talked about today, just kind of how we respond to people who operate differently and stuff like that. Like some of that stuff I want to get into. So maybe we'll have you back and just kind of just chat about
Maybe
you
we
know
can have a multiple invitation, so you get a bunch of us together, and we
a few
just
people would be good actually, 2 or 3
yeah,
people at the same time, and
yeah.
I want to do that, but in person and not recorded. I just want to do that.
oh yeah,
I
just have a
just want to get
conversation.
a group of PKs together and let's just,
So
you
next
know,
Thanksgiving at the Nixons,
next
got it.
Thanksgiving, we'll
A
have PK
PK
Thanksgiving.
a PK potluck.
PK
Yeah,
PK giving, got it, got
PK
it.
that'll
giving.
be dope. I like it.
All right. So hey, we had an opportunity. I use our book, God is a Person, in the classroom every
Right.
year, and here is the
Wasn't there a website that
the website. You want to show the website, Josh?
Yeah, the
Tell us about
ALRI,
yes.
yeah, ALRI, Alabama Life Research Institute, does a lot of phenomenal things. There's about 4 areas they deal with: biological sciences, implementation science, which covers a full gamut. So if you're in education, if you're in social work, if you're in psychology, if you're in any of these sciences that work, any of those fields that help people, you have that. The neuroscience, of course, is a category in and of itself. But what I really like is the rural health and the health disparities, how they really try to get out into the community to just work. And so I've been able to work with them for about a year now. And what they're doing for the state of Alabama is just out of this world. You have people literally from the 4 corners of the world who are helping. They're scientists, they're researchers, they're physicians, they're statisticians, they're the whole nine. Dr. Charlene Newman is the executive director, and she's just pulling people from all over to help one change the health space for the state of Alabama, but then also she's doing it with the world. So you're working with people like from Purdue and other institutes in places throughout the world. But it's really, really cool to see because they don't forget about the small towns. So it's not like
mm,
Birmingham or Montgomery or Huntsville, which are bigger, or Mobile. They're looking at itty bitty spaces and trying to grow those up, not just from the standpoint of mental health, but community development and community research and giving back. Oakwood got a chance to partner up with them this summer to do something within the community. And it was just really, really impactful. And I was just like, man, I want to continue working with them and helping them to change the space, um, one person at a time, I guess.
Nice.
mm-hmm.
That's
Nice. I
dope.
love that.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Mm.
How can we get involved? Just hit them up.
Yeah, look them up. Check out what they're into, alri.ua.edu. So they're outside of it, or they work with or are housed within the University of Alabama. But there's so many opportunities that they're willing to partner with, people who they're willing to partner with. They deal with linguistics and literature to AI, all kind of things. If you have something that you're interested in, even if it's not something that they may do, they have the contacts and the people who they can put you in your local space to do something. And they also work with people from out of state. So it's not just within the state. They work with people from New York and California. They even work with people overseas, in
Mm.
India and in several other places, just so that health, the way that we look at health, the way that we look at people, the humanity of people is really taken into consideration from a research standpoint and not just from a numbers standpoint.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
yeah.
That's
Um,
good work.
all right. So before we go, I use, like I said, I use our book, God is a Person, in my
Hmm.
classes. Sorry. Give me that. There we go. That's what I want. I use our book, God is a Person, in my classes. It looks like this.
Hmm.
We actually use the education edition. And this semester, one of my students emailed me just like gushing over how amazing her experience was with the book, and she's like, she's just talking about how impressed she was with it and how much she got from it and all that kind of stuff. and she's so expressive that I asked her if she would record just get on camera basically and just kind of talk about it a little bit, and she agreed to do that. So I just want to play a quick 30-second promo of this young lady and her, just a little bit of her experience with the book. And yeah, just want to recommend God as a Person. If you guys are trying to get to know who this guy is, this person named God, that's what we're trying to do in the book. Make it simple, honestly. Make it, because it's about the relationship, right? Like, you know,
It's relationship.
we sometimes in religious circles we hide God behind the list, right? And we think that in order to get to God, you have to satisfy the list first.
You have to jump through all these hurdles. Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. God first. And when you get in that relationship with God, you'll find yourself fulfilling the list just kind of naturally. You know, so that's kind of one of the things we talk about in the book. So anyway, quick promo, and then we'll be out. We're not going to come back when we promo. We'll just do the outro and we'll be done. So
sounds good.
Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks Josh again.
Yes, thank you, Josh, so much.
Thank you, Claire. It's good to see you again.
Yeah,
you too.
Haven't seen Claire in a while, right?
I know, it's been a minute.
She's been hiding from me. She's been hiding from me.
You haven't seen me in like 3 hours, but you haven't seen Claire in a while.
I know. I think I saw you 3 hours ago.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks Club PK. Thanks PK Mafia for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
The book says he's other-centered, blowing my mind. It opens up a whole world to who God's character is. That's exactly what it is he lists for us. Yo, the authors are cooking. There's no such thing as a prayer that's too much for God. You're a Christian, but you're not a rule, like, you know. And it's just like, amen. Praise God. And who are we worshiping in church? I personally would 100% recommend God as a Person to anybody like me, young adults, or even older adults that are stuck in the past.